to my kitchen. I've had a lot of people ask me to do some cooking videos, so what better time to start than now? I'm just going to tell you right now, I don't know how to edit videos. I may one day figure it out, but right now, it is what it is. We're going to use the pause button and hope it works. So bear with me. I hope it's at the end you realize that it was worth it. So also I have 3 dogs and a cat running around right now. So if you hear anything, just go with it. It's my advice for life in general. Just go with it. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about the dish for a minute. Carne guisada. G-U-I. I always want to say carne guisada, but whatever. It's a stewed beef. I'm from Southern California. I moved to Texas back in 2005. And there was a little shop, still there, that I was first exposed to the dish. This particular Mexican restaurant tastes a lot like California Mexican food, as opposed to Tex-Mex, which in Texas, if you come from out of state, especially like California, you come to Texas, you realize the Mexican food is regional, and this is very different culture with the Tex-Mex than it was with the Southern California Mexican food. So in Southern California, you order a burrito in a restaurant, it's going to come sauced with cheese. And in Texas, it comes with like queso, which in California we called nacho cheese. Same thing. So they'll like just drown it in queso. I'm not a fan, but that's what they do. Or they will cover a burrito with chili. That's just Tex-Mex. So at this particular restaurant, they really lean more towards the Southern California food that I was used to. But I was exposed to carne guisada, which I hear is actually a Tex-Mex dish, and it's awesome. Like, I fell in love with it the minute I had it. They served it on a bed of Mexican rice with a couple of slices of avocado on it and some tortillas. So although it looks like chili, it's really like stew without the vegetables. So the meat is braised, it's tender, and my personal chef clients always tell me it's not enough, but I think they're eating it like it's chili, and I have to explain to them, no, put it on like a taco and eat it. So there's a big difference between eating a bowl of chili and eating some carne guisada. So I've seen it served over mashed potatoes. I've seen it served with chunks of potatoes in it. I've done many recipes, and this is the one I finally tweaked. A little lesson about recipes. I don't know how to cook everything. Just because I went to culinary school and I am older and have lots and lots of experience in the kitchen, I don't know everything. So I look up recipes on Pinterest or whatever. Serious Eats is a good one. Wherever I look up recipes, I will read like 5-10 recipes, and I will start getting the understanding of what the ratios are and what's necessary to make the dish versus what adds or take away from the flavor. So like, for example, a banana bread recipe may have oil, shortening, butter. So the 3 different recipes have oil, shortening, or butter. And so I may choose, okay, I'll use butter. But the recipe with the oil, I like that they have 4 bananas, where the recipe with the butter only has 3. So, you start figuring out what you really need to create the recipe, and then you go from there and adjust to your likings. And that's how I develop the recipes that I have. And am writing up my cookbook right now based on all these recipes that are in my head that everybody wants. My family all wants from me. And I have to put them in a book so they can have them. Okay, so not a video editor, so we're just going to go with the selfie thing, and then I'm going to show you what I'm doing, and we'll go from there. So in culinary school, the first thing you learn is mise en place, which means everything in place. So you get all your ingredients, all your tools. Had to put a tool out. All your tools, everything in one place. so that you know you have everything. How many times have you started a recipe and you realize, oh shoot, I don't have this. And you've already started, it's already on the stove, and you're like, honey. I do it occasionally. Okay. So look here, we're gonna try this. Okay, let's see. Oh, by the way, my lights under the counter are like rainbow. It's on like the whitest light that it has, so it's kind of bluish. So anyway, so tool number 1, if you've never had this, it's called the bench scraper. When you're cutting up vegetables, you're able to scrape it into a bowl. It's just wonderful. If you don't have one of these, get it. It's like $2. It's like my favorite tool of my kitchen, besides my 3 KitchenAids. Okay, so what we have here is I have doubled my recipe. So this is about 4 pounds of just chuck roast. It was on sale. I don't care, chuck roast, round roast, whatever. Whatever's on sale, whatever's cheap, I get it. I wouldn't suggest stew meat because it's cut a little bit smaller, and I think it doesn't give it time to get really tender. So I wouldn't suggest stew meat, but in a bind or if it's on sale, go for it. If you look at the chunks of meat that I have here, let's see. See, they're kind of sizable. They're not too small, not too big. Stew meat is usually cut smaller than that. And I think the disadvantage is this is going to cook for like 3 hours. And there's a point where your meat is tender and then it goes dry. And so if you don't get to cook it for that whole time, you're not going to develop all the flavors that you want in there. So with the stew meat, I just don't think it gives you enough time to develop the flavors. But you could do it in a bind. Also, cutting your meat in smaller chunks, it will get done quicker. Quicker is not always better, but sometimes you realize, shoot, I want carne guisada and I want it in 1 hour instead of 3. So also you can do this in the Instant Pot. Just put it on stew and, put it in for however many minutes. Just follow along. I think you can figure it out. You could always ask me. No big deal. Okay, so the first thing I got, this is a double recipe, so you can half it for normal people. But I'm making this for 8 people. So I want to make sure that there's plenty because everybody eats it fast. So there's 2 bell peppers, 2 onions, and I have some olive oil, 2 cups of, or a 16-ounce can of tomato sauce, 8 cups, of beef broth. A little note about broths and stocks and all that stuff. If you can get stock, always go with the stock. If you can't, make sure you're always getting the reduced sodium, because what happens is, especially in this dish, this is all going to cook down and you're going to be left with the flavors of the stock. Excuse me. And part of the flavor of the stock is salt. So you want to get the least amount of sodium as possible so that you have control of the salt. So we're not going to add salt until the end, except at the beginning. Okay? I know that sounds silly. I have my gloves on because I hate handling meat with my hands. Yep, I do. So we're going to salt and pepper this. And then we're going to put some dry garlic. I love garlic. And then some onion powder. Shh. That's my husky mix making herself known right now. So I use gloves because I just want to get in there and touch it all and make sure that it's all seasoned nice and well. We're going to do this in batches. I watched a YouTube video the other day of someone making carne guisada, and they were talking about all the liquid they had in it. And the reason why they had liquid in it is because they were not doing it in batches. They were doing it all at once. And what happens is you end up steaming the meat instead of searing the meat. And you end up having steamed instead of sear. You want that sear. You want that hard sear. You want to see caramelization on that meat when you put it in the pot. Okay, we're going to move over to the stove now. Hopefully that worked. Okay, like I said, I'm not a video editor, I'm a cook. Okay, so we're gonna swap this. We'll do it here. So we're gonna get this pot nice and hot. I'm gonna put in some olive oil. I mean, I don't measure a lot when it comes to like carne guisada because I make it so often that I just do it, right? So, you know, get enough oil that's the bottom of your pan. And sometimes a little more. And make sure that that's nice and hot before you start putting that meat in there, because you want that hard sear. Okay? So here I have, this is the meat and this is the bowl that I'm going to put the meat in as I get it all nice and seared, because we're going to do this in batches. Okay, so the oil is nice and hot. We're going to cook these up. And I know this particular roast was a little bit fatty. I trimmed it down a bit. Pretty much when you're trimming a roast or trimming any type of meat, it's okay to leave on the fat. What you don't want to leave on is the really hard fat that's not going to render down. So you just keep in mind